Stallone. You thought he wasn't making movies anymore, but here we have the cousin, the uncle. We don't know how old Stallone is, but we do have Stallone-Obaraemi Samuel here with me. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jess. Just to say a little bit, I know I was working in Edinburgh at some point. People would ask me, what's your name? I say Stallone. And because I was in hospitality at the point in time, the customers, some of them were coming from the UK, from the US, Stallone. So like Sylvester Stallone, yeah, because I wanted to start some small talks. I'd say, when they say Sylvester Stallone, I'd say, yeah, he's my nephew. And they'd say, how is that? I said, because his first name is Sylvester, and his surname is Stallone. Now, my first name is Stallone. I'll just make that up. And so he's my nephew. But he's older. And I said, how do you know?
Well, everybody, take a good look at Mr. Stallone here. I met him online. And I thought, a guy in his 30s with a cool resilience story. He's Nigerian, guaranteed he has a sense of humor. I'm going to interview a speaker in my industry. Turns out he is much older and much younger looking. Darn it, you lucky people with beautiful skin. So Stallone is pretty much your brother from a different mother. He's about the same age as you.
Yes, exactly. I was telling you a story before we went live, where a friend of mine, I met somewhere, and then he was celebrating his birthday. When I walked into the pub, I love to go to karaoke pubs just to relax. And he was celebrating his 61st birthday. And he said, hey, Stallone, come here. So how old are you, with his Scottish accent? And I said, I'm 58. And he said, oh, no. And he cussed and told me to get off and all that, and said, no, you are not. Well, I told him before I left the pub, I said, I hope you're going to sleep tonight. He said, because I'm 61 and I look like your father. I mean, you can't be 59. You know, I was messing with his head, but it happens. It was just fun. And I believe that.
But you are 59.
Come on, I'm not 59, Jessica.
Oh, I thought that story meant you were 59, but you look so young. Oh, you got me too. What? I thought you're 59 and you just look 20 years younger. How old are you?
No, I'm not 59. I will get there very soon, but I'm not there yet.
Well, very soon, or in a certain amount of years, I suppose.
Very soon, very soon.
Very soon. So you are in your 50s.
Sorry?
You are in,
no, sorry. I'm not yet. I'm not yet in my 50. Well, very soon is relative. It could be 10 years. It could be 15 years. It could be 20. Don't worry, relax, Jessica. We're still friends. You will know when I get there.
Okay. Well, this is what the topic is about today. It's about looking younger than you are. No, it's about laughing about life a little bit more. And as I was in Nigeria in May, and I got this beautiful shirt made, woo, I wore it for you, Stallone, because
that's beautiful.
Thank you. And I think the things in Nigeria are beautiful. And you're from Nigeria, so can you tell me a little bit about why you went into professional speaking, what your drive is in your messages, and where you came from a little bit, and I don't know, that Nigerian spirit of resilience mixed with humor. I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, you know, I was saying something behind when I've attended all my life. I've attended public schools, and my parents would say, okay, so we can't send you to a private school. We're having a conversation backstage before we came online. So I'm just
taking that. It sounds not Nigerian.
Yeah.
Sounds like he was born in the UK, but no.
Yeah. So my parents would send me to do extra lessons in order to make up. But at some point, well, those were expensive too. So at some point, if they're unable to, in some cases, your parents wouldn't be able to. So they'd say, stop. It happened to me. And I used to ride, if you go to Nigeria, there's a means of transport we call it in our local parlance, we call it Okada. That's bike riders. They carry passengers. And because of the way the traffic system is, most people use that.
Yeah.
I used to be that. I used to ride bikes, you know, carry passengers and all of that. I did that for about between 7 and 9 years. That's a long time. Yes, because at some point I needed to pay my fees, when you get to the higher institution and all of that, and then the payment and all of that. And then your parents just tell you, yeah, we want you to go to school, but we can't fit all that bills. And I grew up in a generation where you have to attend a higher institution. It's almost like, it's not like today where people get on YouTube, you can just school yourself. You've got to go to school. So while we were going to school, not very clear for many people, but it was just a societal, it was just a cultural thing. And for me to be able to do that, I knew I needed to continue to take those extra lessons. Back to my how I talk. I met a teacher, Jones. Now, I was a very caricature-like person, if you like. I was that person that plays with everything. I would make sound with everything. I would just make mess of everything. It was just my nature. So Jones would come to class and we'll make we would say, for instance, in Nigeria, we would say bucket, pocket. And Jones will come and say, no, it's bucket, it's pocket. It sounded something else. Jones would say, he would try to say, this is how the English people pronounce these words. So try to do that. And I would make mess of the whole thing. So one day Jones then said in class that if you're able to remember everything I've taught for the past 3 months, that's like a term, and you can stand in front of the class and the class will ask you any question. And if you're able to answer those questions, I would pay your tuition for the next session. Whoa, that was a challenge. We had no internet. We had none of the things we had today. I had 4 friends. I had 4 friends, Amakri, Donald, and Steve. We would all go to the library. There was a state library. We'd just take our books and go there and start reading and start studying. Did you take this note? Did you take that note? We'll start studying, competing. That was what we did. And so the evening came, and then we had this session where you come out of the class and stand in front of the class, and the class will ask you any question that had been taught in class. So it got to my turn. I stood there and answered every question, Jessica, every question. So, but for me, it was nothing. So we're all joking, and I was just going out, and Jones called me and said, if you pay attention to how you speak, you will go far. You've got the mind for language. So that was the first time somebody said, pay attention, because we go to school, we learn with English and everything. So for us in Nigeria, back in the day, why do I have to learn English language? Something we use every time. And he said, pay attention. So that was a start for me at that early age. I was still a teenager at the point in time to begin to pay attention. I never had anything in mind, but I would always hear Jones's voice. Pay attention to how you sound. And I think that has molded me over the years to this point where I'm almost 59.
Exactly. You're 59, but you sound like a 40-year-old British dude with the skin of a beautiful Nigerian man.
Thank you. That's that for how I sound. Well, you said something about resilience, how I got into public speaking, training, and that it takes me back to when I attended Faith Foundation. But in Nigeria, there's an organization called Faith Foundation. So they train entrepreneurs. And back in the day, I think it was 2005 or so, or earlier, I can't remember exactly. I was attending the Aspiring Entrepreneurs program when this question, I was at a point in my life, which many young people also go through today. When you ask them, what would you like to do? And they go blank. I was at that state. For me, I wouldn't go blank. I didn't go blank, but there was so much I felt I could do. And so if you ask me to pick one, I would just get lost. You see, what do you do? What would you like to do? I'll get lost because I like to think I've got the mindset where if I put my mind to anything, I tend to try to get it accomplished. So I could speak, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that. So I was that point in my life where I was confused. If you asked me back then, Stallone, what would you like to do? I'd just get lost. And then I met one teacher, a lecturer or a coach who said, find something that you would love to do if money was not involved. So we just clicked, boom. I love to teach. I could teach forever for free. So yeah, so that was the first time. But along the line, as I grew, years after, I met another mentor who then added something. He said, find something that you love to do for free if you would love to do it without money being involved, but then don't do it for free. Yeah, so you see the shift. It's like you love to teach, you love communication, you love to help people to become more confident when they speak on stage, that their message is not lost. But then find a way to weave it into a business. That's because, of course, the reason I hired him as a mentor was just to teach me how to do what I love to do as a business person. So that's a bit of how my life has been, how I have navigated to this point. I hope that helps.
Yeah. My friend says, if you love doing it, you should charge twice as much, because most people don't like their jobs. So if we actually love our jobs, we're really good at them, and we do better than the next guy that's just doing it because, well, he studied it maybe, right? So
yeah.
But speakers normally don't study speaking. There's no college program that's become a professional speaker and trainer and facilitator, right? We fall into those because we love it. And that's why I love talking to us, all of my friends, because we do the things that we love. We're lucky enough that are we lucky enough? Yes, we've had the privilege to do what we love to do and the time to dedicate ourselves to studying what needs to be studied. Right? So I think it's a special group of people that are trainers and facilitators. Tell me, you wrote me first. Tell me a little bit about some resilience. I wanna know how you got to be you.
Excuse me. Well, resilience, I would give it first to my family. I grew up in a very tough home. When I mean tough home, my late father was such a person that if you say you were ill, for instance, commonly in Nigeria we have malaria. So if you say, okay, you were ill, and then you were all shaky and feverish and all that, my father was not that person that would say, oh, my boy's dying, oh, let's take him to the hospital. My father would just look at you and say, are you really ill, or you're pretending? See, the thing, I think for many African parents, not all, for many African, I'm very careful when I use this expression. The thing is, sometimes it is almost like, if as long as you can eat, you are not yet that bad.
Oh, wow.
You know the feeling. As long as you can eat, as long as you can talk, and if people are sitting and chatting, and you can also join in the chat, no, you're not that bad. When you're sick, when you're really ill, well, we say, when we say sick in Nigeria, we mean you're ill, not like you're throwing up. So so are you sick? It means, are you ill? All right. So when you're really ill, it means it's almost like you can't eat. So I grew up in that space where if something knocks you, it's expected that you would jump up. It has to really knock you down for us to say, okay, it's really bad. And then we had a ritual, a family ritual, if you like, where we wake up in the morning. We always would have a family gathering in the morning about 6 a.m. And my father, just to tell you about some form of discipline and resilience, my father would wake up in the morning. Well, in Africa, in Nigeria, our parents, they can get physical. So my father gets up in the morning. That's in my day. My father gets up in the morning, and he doesn't come to everybody's room and say, wake up, wake up, wake up. He gets up in the morning. The moment you hear the way we used to live, the moment you hear the creaking of the hinges of his door, no matter how deep you're sleeping, you wake up, because it's the cane that's going to wake you up.
Oh,
He just gets up and said, because the thinking is, for the past 1, 2, 3 months, we have agreed that we will wake up at 6 o'clock. We will have a family gathering together for about 30 minutes or 1 hour, and then everybody's ready. You go take your bath, you go to school. I don't have to come every time to wake you up. If you want me to wake you up, you've got to pay something in return. And that is you being, the cane will be used, you'll be lashed, you'll be whooped, so you have to wake up. And then when we get up, we get confused because you're waking up, you're sleeping, and suddenly everybody is just jumping around. To avoid that, over time, your mind gets to click in your mind at 6 o'clock, I have to wake up on my own, or something is going to happen. This is just me giving you some examples of the kind of home I grew up in. And I think that also built my resilience. And when I left, and I left to Lagos, I wasn't living in Lagos. I went to Lagos. I had a job. I went to Lagos, but the first 10 days were really tough, really tough. And I called my dad and I said, I can't stay in Lagos. And he said, why? I said, because it's too fast. I wake up in the morning at 4:15 in order to get to work. Otherwise, I'm going to get to the office late. And I come back about 12:15 past midnight. I'm telling you, and I said, Dad, I want to come back home. I don't think I can stay here. And my dad said, are there people still living in Lagos? And I said, yes. Innocently, I just said, yes. And he said, then what are they doing to survive? I said, I don't know. He said, find out and stay there.
Ooh.
So you can imagine. Wow. Just I tell my children, I tell my friends, I say, that phone call changed my life. If my dad had said, oh no, if you can't, just come back home, it would have been a different story. So over time, growing up, I've been in that environment where it is taken that if you give up, you can't just give up. The world is, well, for want of a better expression, the world is unforgiving when you train your mind to just give up. So I feel that's where, first of all, I built my resilience from. And then, over time, meeting people, getting coaches, mentors, and also failing in business has also helped me to build that resilience.
So we talk about like training your mind for success. And you just said training your mind to not to fail. What did you say? To failure?
Yeah, so not to train your mind not to back down at the sight of any resistance. For me, for instance, the example I gave to you, when I called my dad, if my dad had said, come back, probably it would have registered, there would have been a program written in my head to say, things go bad, good, go back. But he said, in a very calm voice, the people in Lagos, are there still people in Lagos? And I said, yes, Dad. And he said, what are they doing to survive? I don't know. Find out and stay there.
Beautiful. Find out. It's like, your story is beautiful because you met two teachers and then a mentor that really were pivotal in your life. And now you are that teacher mentor to other people that can help. And your father was obviously instrumental with his strong ways. But it's like these little things that make us into who we are. That phone call, that waking up at 6 a.m. because fear of being hit. Right.
Yeah.
And, us North American, we're very weak. Like there's a couple strong of us, but most of us are very pampered and sweet. We quit. We're very easy quitters. And I look at my partner, my boyfriend, he's half Nigerian. And this man never quits anything. Like I've broken up quite a few times. He never quits. He just believes and has this resilience. And I say, where the hell did this come from? Because we live in Spain. That's not the mindset over here. And I'm sure it's his blood of his family, his Nigerian family. And you're helping me understand this. We do not give up, learn, like pay attention. This discipline that I've seen in Nigerian people that scares the hell out of most of us, because you meet a Nigerian and they're not going to let you get away with anything because they're watching, they're listening, they have high expectations of you and they don't give up. Whoa, that's very intimidating. But when you have that in a man, I think your wife and I am very lucky.
Well, just another thing that contributes to that is you're not handed over anything, and nothing is given to you. I mean, if you're in Nigeria, you pay your bills. What I mean, you are like a local government chairman, if you understand what I mean. So what I mean by that is that you kind of generate your electricity, because you don't have constant electricity. You've got generators. Some people have got 3 generators. You buy your fuel, and you do practically everything yourself. Well, it's not like you love it, but you just grow into it. That I've got to take. If I don't take care of myself, someone will. In fact, there are cases where there's a very dangerous job, maybe in some parts of the country, and people would know that it is very dangerous, but they've got to work to feed their families. It's so bad that as maybe there's an accident and somebody dies, I almost will guarantee you that as much as people feel so bad that, oh, we've lost somebody, there is somebody almost immediately ready to say, can I take his place? You know, that kind of mindset, because I'm here to work, to feed my family. What's happened is bad. I feel for his family. It's a big loss. But hey, if I don't step in and ask, somebody else is going to. Another part of the world, some people feel, hey, you're insensitive, oh, this and that. The environment you grew up in, it's like the rule of nature against nurture. You know, the environment you grew up in, you grew up in an environment where nothing is handed over to you. It's not like there's a system where you're in the UK, you have the NHS, you have this, you have that. There are certain things you benefit. None of that. So over time, you grew up to be this person where you say, I've got to do it myself. And I tell you, when you get into an environment where certain things are already prepared for you, there's this voice that tells you, is this real or it's a trap?
Wow, too good to be true.
Voice that tells you, is this real or is it a trap? Am I supposed to benefit from this? So you get where it's coming from. It takes a while for you to relax, adjust to say, no, it's not a trap. You're supposed to benefit from this. Yes. So we can go on this resilience thing. It's a whole thing that happens here and there that builds.
But now you have children growing up in Scotland, and life is easier in Scotland, minus the cold and the accents that are impossible to understand for me, and the terrible food. No offense. Are you raising your kids with that they're going to grow up to have resilience? Would your father say that you're too soft on them, or are you taking the Nigerian resilience thought, even though their lives are much easier?
Excuse me. I'm going to tell you this, Jess. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, see, I'm just going to say this to you. I think I know how to raise children in Nigeria, the Nigerian way, if you like. But I'm learning to raise them in Scotland, the English way, or the British way. If you say so, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of things that here that you're getting to learn, you're getting to put up with. You get to understand that, okay, well, this can be accepted back home. And the first thing you want to teach your children is you don't want to be the one, if there's a law, you don't want to be the one breaking the law. Say, okay, there are certain things that I need to adhere to. However, there are certain principles that clearly, even in the house, they get to understand, yes, these principles can't be broken. Yeah, but now they're growing up. My kids are growing up. So I've gotten to the stage where we've got to talk, because the idea is to build them such that they can make their own decisions, even if I'm not there. Their mom's not there. Because there's a difference between getting children to understand why they need to do certain things or not do certain things, as against you saying, hey, you know what, this is my house, this can't happen. Well, if you're no longer here and you've got to make your decisions, why are we making these decisions? So to answer your question, they're two different worlds apart. Okay. And we're learning to make sure there's a balance between being strict as it were, being principled as it were, some people would call it, or being firm. I like to use the word firm as against being permissive. So that's where we are.
It's very, they're hard decisions. Is your wife from the north or from where, Nigeria as well?
Yeah, she's from Nigeria too.
Okay, so that you don't have at least those conflicts.
No, we don't have the conflict. It's we don't have the conflict. We're fine, and we also are getting used to the Scottish weather. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day in the north, and she said she kept complaining, "Oh, it's warm today, but it's warm now, but you know what? It appears it's going to get cold later." And she kept on going on and on and on. And it got to me, and I said, "Wait a minute." I said, how, I mean, for how long have you been in Scotland? And she said, "I was born here, I'm 39. Of course, she's my colleague. And I said, "Just then shut up." So why? So why are you complaining? You've been here for 39 years. You know that in one day, it could go up, down, sideways. You know this already. I'm just here for like 2 years, and you keep complaining. You wouldn't allow me have peace of mind. And she just went blank. I was joking, but it's just, for me, it's just shut up, stop complaining. You cannot change the weather. Just get used to it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want to end on that. Shut up. You can't control the weather.
No, you can't.
Because, the days I complain about stuff I can't complain, I tell myself to shut the F up, right? Because I irritate myself so much. And I think we need a little bit more Nigerian energy around us to tell us to shut the F up, because our first world problems and our weather problems are ridiculous to complain about. And it makes us very soft. And humor with resilience, I think, is a way to make people into stronger people that achieve what they actually want, instead of staying in my pity party, as we like to call it in Canada, and not moving. Like, wake up at 6, do what you got to do, girl, and stop complaining about being 15 kilos overweight. Like, why would I, the time I spend complaining, I could have gone to the beach for that hour and exercised. But it's a weak mind. I have a weak mind. And how do you learn that without going to Nigeria and having a dad that's really scary?
When you mentioned in resilience and humor, we normally would say this in Nigeria. We still do say, just all you need is data. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, all you need in Nigeria is data. I mean, the people are so resilient. They make fun of everything. What I'm saying is, all you need is data. Get on the internet, find Nigerian jokes and skits. They make fun of everything. Raise the price of fuel, or there's a skit that's going to make fun of that. Oh, the president said something that is maybe annoying to some people. Somebody's going to make a skit.
Really?
Anything is laughable.
Really?
Anything can be turned around. Wow. See, you when you look at it from that point, sometimes I've met people that say, I mean, no offense to anyone, I've met people that have said, "You know what, you guys are numb, like nothing gets to you." Well, in a way, because you've just looked at it and said, "There's certain things I can't change, so I'll just laugh about them." So I get back home sometimes and I want to get on the news, and my wife would say, "Can we just watch some skits? Can we just go to laugh, because you will find something that'll make you laugh." And I think it just keeps you going. It really does. It works.
That's the answer I've been looking for. If you can't change it, laugh about it.
Oh, absolutely.
The answer that we don't have. Here, you can't laugh about the world, white people, you can't laugh at anything because it's offensive. And it's like, everything in life is freaking offensive. You have to, I just spit, good thing you weren't here. It's like, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're just going to cry. And then, So I think humor is really missing from resilience training programs.
Yeah, really. Before we go, Jess, it's gotten to me to a point where if I see an amazing post, and maybe anybody brings it to me and say, have you seen this post? You know where I go to first?
Nigerians.
Comments.
Oh.
Because I've come to realize there's no post that does not have that negative or positive, all of them mixed up. So I just go down and say, is everybody agreeing to this? And you'll find somebody somewhere that will say, oh, you shouldn't make fun of this. Oh, you shouldn't do this. Oh, you shouldn't do that. So living in a very sensitive world, you know. So, and then for us in Nigeria, it's less sense in that parlance, in that space. So you can go there and laugh about anything, and you hardly see someone come up and say why this is not like this or like that. See, we tend to when we're just tight in there, we just go there and say, let's go and watch some of those skits and laugh. You know, truly we are resilient people, and the beautiful thing is we mix it up with lots of humor. I don't think I'm even that humorous, but there are lots of people out there.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna look up some. Actually, you can send me some kind of a link, because I'm just a lost girl, so I want to find out where I can watch some Nigerian skits.
I'll show you. I send you some.
Yeah. Okay. Stallone, thank you. It's all I expected. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the weather. May you laugh at the rain.
Thank you very much. I will. You bet. All right, then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.